So the U.S. Army stands ready. Defense Secretary James Mattis addressing Army leaders earlier today. That's what he said. He reinforced the military option when dealing with North Korea. President Trump expressing frustration over previous administration's handling of the Kim Jong-un regime, tweeting this: "Our country has been unsuccessfully dealing with North Korea for 25 years, giving billions of dollars and getting nothing. Policy didn't work." Here now, Chris Harmer, Institute for the Study of War and a naval analyst. Chris, good to have you here.
It's good to be with you.
You know, the rhetoric, if you will, the statements that are coming out, Mattis is saying, look, be ready. So he was talking to the Army, be ready. But at the same time, diplomacy still can work. Where do you think we're at with our negotiations with North Korea?
Yeah, we're on a path that leads to conflict right now. There's no doubt about that. The narrative of the relationship right now terminates in armed conflict between the United States and North Korea. What we are looking for is a credible off-ramp to that confrontation. What we don't see right now is any behavior from North Korea that would accommodate an off-ramp to conflict. So what Secretary Mattis is saying is we don't want to go to war. We don't want to take preemptive military action. That should always be the policy of last resort. But right now, based on the actions and rhetoric of the DPRK, we have to be ready for that because it's becoming increasingly likely.
But you know what, Chris? I mean, then you've got South Korea coming out and saying that they've kind of come up with this, and they called it a bomb. They used that term, something that would destroy the electrical grid of North Korea if indeed North Korea got aggressive. So maybe the U.S. military is being a little careful in what they're saying. The South Koreans are not, and they're being public about it. Doesn't that kind of lead us more down this path?
It does, and the South Koreans swing between pacifist rhetoric and aggressive rhetoric. For a long time, the South Koreans have said, look, we'll simply accept the fact that our cousins to the north, they're crazy, they're unstable. We've learned to live with them. I think a lot of South Koreans are to the point now, given that DPRK in North Korea is test-firing missiles, setting off nuclear devices, I think a lot of South Koreans are to the point where now they just admit they have to deal with this problem. They can no longer kick the can down the road.
They have to be. They have to be. That's true. Let's go from the Korean area over to another global hotspot. That's Iran, vowing a crushing response if the U.S. designates its elite Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist group. And if that's not enough, by Sunday, the Trump administration must decide whether or not to recertify the 2015 nuclear agreement. Most analysts believe that we will not, we will decertify the Iran agreement. Do you agree with that?
So I have no opinion on whether or not we will or will not decertify. That's inherently a political question. As a strategic observation, Iran has never been fully in compliance with the nuclear deal. Now, there's some diplomatic reasons to not decertify them. Again, I don't take a position on that. I simply say to the American people, to your viewers, Iran has never been in compliance with the nuclear deal. They're not going to be in compliance with the nuclear deal. And the primary output of the nuclear deal is it gives Iran more cash to use to fund its various terrorist organizations throughout the world.
Well, okay, and many say that that's the Iranian Revolutionary Guard that they're using to do that, whether it's the support of Hezbollah. But we also have one thing in common with the Revolutionary Guard. Both of us support, whether it's the Iran or the U.S., we support groups that are against ISIS. So where do we come together on that? And do you think that they are indeed a terrorist organization? Should they be classified as that?
Well, it's beyond dispute the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is, in fact, a terrorist organization. The State Department has not designated them as such. Again, there's diplomatic and political and strategic reasons for not designating them. It's the same thing with the Taliban. Any reasonable definition says the Taliban is a terrorist organization. We don't designate them as such to maintain our ability to negotiate with them. With respect to Iran and us having common cause against ISIS, I believe that's a fool's errand. ISIS is a primary terrorist threat, but Iran is a much longer terrorist threat, a much more relevant terrorist threat. There's really no basis for the United States cooperating with Iran to destroy ISIS, because then we're going to replace these Sunni jihadists in ISIS with Shia jihadists out of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps.
The Trump administration
I don't think that's a trade-off that helps.
Seems to agree with that assessment as well. Chris, thank you very much.